Remember when Barney had a rough day at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? Let's go back.
Tamagotchi, of Y2K.
It's that time of year again. If you listen closely, you can hear murmurs of Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. But fear not, because the holiday season doesn't begin until the Fat Man crosses Herald Square in Manhattan. If you're a subscriber of my videos, you may be wondering why some guy in Canada cares about Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade at all. Yes, our Thanksgiving is in October, but American Thanksgiving sort of became a tradition in my household. Every year I'd get to stay home from school and watch the parade. That was followed by my mom watching the National Dog Show, and then football for the rest of the day. I still remember waking up early, turning on the television to watch the Broadway numbers that would kick off the coverage as we waited for the parade to reach Herald Square, knowing that as soon as I saw the Rockettes kick their legs up in the air that the parade had arrived. It also felt like a kickoff to the holiday season, no pun intended, and as a child, what was more magical than Christmas time? The first Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was first televised by NBC in 1953, but originally began in 1924. It was created by first-generation immigrants who worked at Macy's. They wanted to celebrate American Thanksgiving with a European parade tradition. The first parade had no giant balloons, but featured animals from the Central Park Zoo, including elephants, bears, monkeys, tigers, camels, lions, and an ass. You can actually see a nod to the first parade when an ass appeared in the 2014 parade. The first character balloon to appear was Felix the Cat in 1927, which later burst into flames. Fun fact about the early balloon years, Macy's used to release the balloons into the sky at the end of the parade. As you can see in this footage here. Anyone who found one of the balloons and returned it would receive a $100 gift certificate to Macy's. And if you're thinking that sounds like a bad idea, you would be right, because that tradition ended quickly in 1932 after Tomcat got tangled up in a plane's wing and nearly killed the pilot and his passenger. The parade took a brief hiatus from 1942 to 1945 out of respect for World War II, donating 650 pounds of rubber that would have been used in the parade to the war efforts. Then, in 1953, the New York tradition was televised across America for the first time by NBC, and the rest is history. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade became ingrained in pop culture thanks to films like Miracle on 34th Street and Tower Heist, and TV shows like Seinfeld and Friends. Alright, let's get to the reason why you clicked on this video in the first place. With the parade being over 100 years old now, there was bound to be some mishaps. And boy were there, wait until we get to 1997. I've scoured the internet combing through article after article, parade after parade to find as many Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade fails as I could. And the majority of them are going to be balloon related. I'm only including the ones that have photographic evidence or footage because who wants to just hear about a story when you can see it? We'll start off with the earliest and all the way to last year's parade. So first we gotta start off in 1936. Father Knickerbocker is a character from Washington Irving's novel A History of New York from the beginning of the world to the end of the Dutch dynasty by Diedrich Knickerbocker. Jesus, you're gonna have to put a bookmark in that title before you even start reading it. In his first appearance in the parade, his nose got stuck in a train line, which was fixed, but later his arm fell off as you can see in this photo.
Yes, he's lost his left hand, so he's going to be all right.
In 1941, the Santa Claus balloon suffered damage along the route, which put Santa into this deep sitting yoga squat. Cover your shame, Santa. The crocodile balloon was a staple for many of the early years of the parade, but in 1952 his right arm was punctured, leaving it droop down for the rest of the route. Now I did skip a lot of photo ones because they can be boring, and that's why I'm moving a bit faster in these early years. However, I had to include Mighty Mouse's collapse from 1956, not because he looked like he had a few too many and was face first in the concrete, but because when I was trying to find footage of it, I found this distinguished gentleman. Look at him go. I'm putting this as one of the greatest moments in parade history. The only fail that I could find from the 60s was this photo of Donald Duck's left foot being deflated after it was stepped on by a Goodyear worker. So sorry for any of you 60s fans out there. In 1976, the parade was hosted by McLean Stevenson and Della Reese. And it was hilarious to watch. It felt like McLean only agreed to do this to promote his new show on NBC, and he could care less. just flubbing his lines.
Stay tuned and you'll see Barry Manilow, Laverne and Shirley, Martha Ray, Roberta Peters,
and calling out the cue cards on a hot mic.
Incidentally, these are the worst cue cards I've ever seen.
Well, that's gonna cheer us up.
What a legend. We had yet another windy day in 1982 with a few mishaps. Unfortunately, all of those were either fixed or removed from the parade, so we didn't get to see it. The only evidence we have of this chaos is when Woody Woodpecker completed the route while being lowered to the ground. His head was punctured along the way and you could see his head sort of shrunk in. 1985 is where the announcers started to playfully address these mishaps thanks to Pat Sajak. After Kermit's stomach was torn open by Central Park trees, they kept him close to the ground.
Looks as if he's passed out, actually.
Pat also joked the next year when the Superman balloon arrived with one of his arms ripped off, conceding that he's definitely not made of steel today.
The slightly injured Superman. All right, so it's not steel. Okay, he's a pretty strong guy.
That same parade, the wind and trees were out to get left arms that day because Popeye's olive oil reached Herald Square also missing her left arm. She proudly kept her hand up in the air with a little bit of magic. Let's continue Kermit's balloon woes into 1987 when his right arm was ripped by a tree, with Jim Henson and Kermit there to watch along. Unfortunately, only 3 years later, Jim Henson would pass away, and with that, they decided to retire the Kermit balloon in 1991, but not before his biggest parade mishap. In his final parade, the Kermit balloon hit a tree and his head was deflated, leaving him looking sad, which, in a way, is kinda poetic. Poor Kermit. Good news, we're starting to get more into the era when people were attending the parade with their own video cameras, which means we'll get to see some of the moments of impact instead of what NBC shows us on their broadcast. In 1993, we got 2 instances of balloons meeting their demise on camera. First up is Rex the Dinosaur, a sort of niche balloon that was made to promote the film We're Back, a Dinosaur Story, a cartoon I really liked as a kid. In that movie, there's a scene in which the dinosaurs enter the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and Rex even surfs on Spider-Man for a little while, because why not? During the broadcast, we get to see what Rex should look like from some pre-recorded footage. Then when they cut back to the parade, his head is mysteriously out of frame. That's because Rex caught his nose on a streetlight on his way to Herald Square, popping his head and leaving it drooping even more than Kermit. Someone else who was making his parade debut that year was Sonic the Hedgehog. He also suffered the same fate as Rex, but instead of the light post hitting his nose, he took it directly to the eye, tearing him open. This caused a piece of the lamppost to fall into the crowd and landed on a police captain and a little girl. Both of them dusted it off and were okay. In 1994, the Nesquik bunny lost control at Columbus Circle, which saw his ear getting ripped by a lamppost, which honestly just looks like his ears drooped down when shown on TV. The next year, we went back to trying to hide these mishaps. One of the most popular toys at the time were the Sky Dancers. Do you remember those? They were like on this pull string, and when you pulled it, they would fly around. I still remember the video of the one flying into the fireplace.
Oh no!
That 1995 parade featured a balloon version of the Sky Dancer, but her face was punctured by a tree, leaving it sunk in, as you can see in this photo. However, during the broadcast, her face was out of frame, and Katie Couric remarks on it.
We're not seeing her face. She needs a little bit of a facelift this morning, Willard, or maybe some collagen injections will do.
I don't know, I think it looks worse keeping it out of frame like that, but what do I know? We've seen worse over the years. That same parade though, we did get to see the damage done to Pink Panther, who tore open his stomach and had his eye deflated, leaving him looking a little bit like Forrest Whitaker. In 1996, all we had was Woody Woodpecker's hand being torn and drooping down. This was sort of the calm before the storm because 1997 is considered the worst disaster of the parade. In what I'm going to dub as the Thanksgiving Day Balloon Massacre, let's get into 1997.
A wicked wind blew in big trouble at Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and tonight 4 people are recovering from injuries.
This particular parade had some very strong winds, but despite that, the show must go on. The first balloon to take damage was Arthur, whose left arm was damaged by a tree on 77th Street, leaving him to carry his books with a limp arm. Next was the Pink Panther balloon. Look at him blowing around like a madman. The gust of wind knocked down the handlers and he hit a streetlight. Once on the ground, police stabbed him to death to prevent any more injuries. With a police response like that, you'd think he was the Black Panther. Moving on. This snowman lost his head on the float, leaving him to tip his hat to everyone like some sort of Tim Burton character. The Quick Bunny's left ear was torn open by a stoplight, and we got this commentary from a child watching the parade from a building.
Maybe that Nestle's has a little beer in it.
This was Willard Scott's final year commentating on the parade. They should have replaced him with this kid instead of Matt Lauer. Just saying. The most famous one you've probably already seen many times online, and the one that I put at the top of this video was Barney. Barney showed up to the parade to sing a song and rocking these sweet sunglasses, being cooler than I'll ever aspire to be. His demise was all caught on film, and we have to praise the cameraman on this one as we get to see the struggle and the rip that led to one of the most infamous Macy's parade fails to ever be caught on camera. The worst moment in the parade, though, came with the Cat in the Hat balloon. When he hit a lamppost twice, but on the second swing he knocked it over into the crowd. The lamp injured 4 people, including Kathleen Corona, who was put into a month-long coma before thankfully recovering. She sued Macy's for $395 million, and it was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. We did it, everyone. We made it to the new millennium. Y2K didn't happen, so we can all breathe a big sigh of relief and enjoy the parade once again. Nothing bad will ever happen again, so let's move on to 2001. Here we can see the tear in Ronald McDonald's left arm after colliding with Central Park trees. Then in 2005, we almost got a repeat of 1997's parade, in which Barney once again was torn open, but this time he continued the parade, and the M&M sponsored balloon hit a lamppost, causing it to fall into the crowd and hitting 2 sisters.
I've seen this one. This is a classic.
The 2 women were treated and released from the hospital the same day. In 2008, the same year that Rick Astley rickrolled all of us on the Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends float, Keith Haring's figure with a heart balloon made its way past Herald Square and hit the broadcast booth, giving Meredith Vieira a bit of a scare.
You see an elevated highway which spans from a modernized reproduction of New York City's famed Brooklyn Bridge. A little surprise here in the booth.
That's right, Keith Haring's balloon got a little close to us.
The classic wiggle worm balloon bonked a one-way street sign when handlers attempted a spin maneuver. Now at this point I was going to include some of the lip-syncing fails, but I decided against it for a few reasons. No matter who you are, the broadcast makes the performers lip-sync, however some are better at it than others. People like Scott McCreery missing his cue and Rita Ora singing a completely different part of her song. The reason I'm not including these was mostly because they all involve copyrighted music. So just in case you were wondering where all the lip sync fails are, I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you though by showing you this photo from 2012 before the parade of Spider-Man and Uncle Sam getting into some extracurriculars. That same year we also got to see this cheerleader pyramid fail, and Pikachu being overinflated to the point that his ears burst, leaving him with a slick new hairdo. We're in the home stretch now. In 2013, Spider-Man got too close to a tree and had his arm ripped open, which honestly is just a classic balloon tear at this point. A candy cane popped in 2017 in incredible fashion. In 2019, we saw pre-recorded footage of Ronald McDonald's balloon, and this is because his leg was completely torn and dragging for most of the parade. And finally, we have the 2023 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. We made it, y'all. The Diary of a Wimpy Kid's balloon, his left hand was punctured by trees on 77th Street, which left him throwing gang signs to the crowd below. And Luffy from One Piece had his hat brim torn by trees, leaving him with what looked more like a bucket hat. Still pulling it off though, I must say. And there you have it, all of Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade fails I could dig up. I'm sure I missed some, but I couldn't watch 100 years of parades. If there's one thing I learned from this video, is to keep your arms away from trees and lampposts, because they could be deadly. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to join the Remember When Discord group, a completely free community with the link in the description below. And remember, every like this video gets goes to trimming those trees on 77th Street. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.